her talking on unashamed. Yeah, actually we love my t-shirt already. It's really centered on helping us overcome the guilt and shame we feel from past experiences. I would really love you to join us to glean 1 or 2 things on how you can live life unashamedly. I want to be unashamed and audacious about the things I've done in the past and be able to share my story. I'm sure you would love to do that too. So please join us on the episode. Hi, see ya. We have all at some point gone through shameful experiences. I've had my own different stories of, things I've done that I'm not exactly proud to talk about, or especially in the Christian gathering, things I'm not proud to say, I'm actually in that circle, I've been there before. And then at some point I feel like, okay, fine, I can do something better in my life and I want to launch out. And then there's this voice that holds me back and say, girl, you've been like this and you've been like this. Do you think the world will believe you? Do you think your friends will even find it believable with your idea or with that thing, considering the background, considering what you're even doing, what we all know you're doing? And that's like the foundation for this discussion, talking about how one can be comfortably different, how one can be bold about the fact that, yes, I used to be this kind of person. Yes, I used to battle with this. I used to deal with this. But now I know I can be better. I want to live a life called to do something noble, called to do something good. How can one really be, able to do that irrespective of the past? And that's why this gathering is. And yes, for this discussion, we have had a very wonderful person here, and I really hope you'll be able to glean a lot from his story. And yes, I have Mr. Kayode Babalola here with us. So I will just go over to him immediately, and maybe he would like to say a thing or two about himself, and we will just dive into our discussion with him. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. My name is Kayode Babalola, the comic K-Babs. I'm a drama minister, I'm a Christian film actor, I'm also an architect, so that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Thank you very much. And then obviously I have my regular people here with me. So I was just, one of the things I really find really amazing, really for me, or one of the things that held me back is I figured out that I lose focus a lot of times in exactly whatever it is I want to do. So for me as a person, I've been able to figure out that the issue with me had been what people had to say about me, not what was the thing for me to do. It was always, how does that person see me? How does this person see me? What is their opinion about me? And then what is, as against, what is the really thing? Who even defines you? Where exactly are you? What's your definition about yourself? So it took me a long time to get to that point of saying, sit down with yourself. Who exactly are you? And now looking at you and all you have achieved, I feel like asking you, how have you been able to, I'm sure nobody came from heaven just living the perfect life. So how have you been able to define that line and give yourself a definition to be a different person, and you're okay with it?
You see, it's a lifelong struggle to seek people's approval. It's subconscious. You just want to be sure that what you're doing resonates with people, and it's what people maybe like about you. It's called approval addiction. Am I good enough? Am I doing something good with my life? And is it all worth it? But you see, the problem the world is struggling with right now is the problem of identity. And it starts from when you're young. You're trying to get yourself, you're trying to understand who you are as a person, because it's very fundamental. The moment you understand who you are, then boom, you're on your way to great success in life. You define yourself, no one defines you. Because no one can tell you who you are. No one has the same experience you have. No one has the same biological or psychological build-up that you have. No one has passed through the things you passed through. No one has, sat down for a soul-searching experience to try to bring about their unique identity. So when you understand who you are, when you understand your identity, it is the major ingredient in making you a successful person.
Okay, but sometimes I actually feel that when we are in school, it's different, because there are lots of younger people just like us, and then there's this, it's like school life is a different world. Being a teenager, being a young person is just an entirely different world. I feel like you're talking from that angle of young adults.
Okay. You see,
I'm a made man.
You should, you should understand that there's a certain wisdom that comes with age.
Yes.
And it is after you might have done lots of trial and error, you would have gotten lost, find yourself, struggle with who you are, be influenced by your friends who you think they are being successful. You see, it's a different body mental when you are young and when you are older. You do a lot of things when you are a teenager, when you are a student, because other people are doing it. You do some things because your uncle is doing it, maybe your father or your father's friend, someone close to you, and you feel they're successful in life. Maybe, for example, it will shock you to know that when I was young, I wanted to be a medical doctor. And there is my father's younger sister that calls me Dr. Babalola till today. Yeah. But I realized that I'm growing up that I hate the sight of blood. And when I see somebody suffering, instead of I start crying. I realized I could never have become a doctor. So when you're growing, when you're young, the things you see are not really what will happen in the future. So now if I'm going to tell my younger self now, I will say, just flow through life. You will make mistakes. You will learn from it. They form part of who you are as a person. But don't be rigid, don't be too hard on yourself. You will get lost, but you will still find yourself. But it makes sense if you understand who you are at a very young age. And if there's someone who explain that to you.
So what defines you, or who defines us, like ourselves, like young people like us?
So when you're younger, a lot of things define you. The environment defines you. The society defines you. Your parents define you. For example, I have a friend who, his name is Kage. He's a pharmacologist, he's a PhD holder. When he's young, no matter how small the seat is, he will crawl inside that seat. He can read for 24 hours. That's not what happened. My mom will not come, she'll be beating me, say, Kage in here, let me not speak Yoruba, but that's Kage. Kage, he can be there for 24 hours reading. That's not what I have. At that point, my mother was defining me. Yeah. And I hated Kage all my life. I hated Kage growing up. My mother was like, you should be
just
the guy that reads for 24 hours. That is not who I am. But because she's angry with me, she defined me at that time. People say you're funny, you could be a comedian, you're this, and then you listen to them and defines who you are at that point. So that's why I'm saying you will get lost. Because after a while you realize that, why am I even doing this in the first instance? Was it me that wanted to do it, or was it my mom, or was it, for example, I read architecture just because someone influenced me to do it. But my primary school teacher was saying this guy is good in acting. My primary school teacher, you should read theater arts. At different points in your life, let me quickly conclude. At different points in your life, different people and circumstances define you. But you go through a soul-searching process, and then you find yourself.
Now, I kind of really like what you said when you said, there's no how I would go through life I will not make mistakes. This is coming from me, like, come on, I made lots of mistakes. So I think that's why it really hits me well. There's no how we go through life, we will not make mistakes. But even when we make mistakes, we know that number one, everybody makes mistakes. Number two, we still have that time, that redeeming time to bring ourselves back to page. So we'll go on a short break now, and then we'll continue this amazing conversation. Thank you.
Comfortably different. You're distinct and you're unique. You cannot really afford to allow every other person define who you are. That's a very big mistake you'll be making. So I'd like you to just take some time out. Think about who you are. Discover yourself. You were not created to be like me. Neither am I created to be like you. So take some time out. Reflect on who you are. Get answers to your questions. Be comfortable in your own skin. Don't try to blend in, and at the same time, stand out. You are a shining star, and act like one. Be distinct in what you do. Dare to be different, and be comfortable with yourself.
Welcome back to this session again. So when I left, I was talking about the fact that I have, broken so many parts of my body in one way or the other. Even if it was not physical wounds, there was a lot of.
But I'd like to say something about that.
Yes.
You're lucky if when you're breaking things, it didn't break you. Because when I said that we make mistakes and all that, some of us are not so lucky and we didn't go with the mistake. I had someone who got pregnant for someone, had an abortion, and she died.
She died.
Wow. Because you make mistakes quite alright, but sometimes you're not so lucky, and then the mistake is the end of you. Sometimes you join cultism because of influence. At that point, your friends were the ones defining you. You have to belong, you need to sag, you need to dress in one way, walk with swagger, have this kind of charisma, and then you're killed as a cultist. So I don't want people to get that wrong and say, yeah, I said we can make mistakes, let's just go all out, running 20s, and just do. Sometimes those mistakes can kill you.
Yeah.
And so that's why what I advise, what I counsel is to try as much as possible to get yourself when you're very young. It helps. I started acting in like 1995. And it has really helped me to chart a course myself. Yeah, I wasn't in the kingdom, I wasn't far from the kingdom. There are things I will never do because I was extremely close to the kingdom. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah.
I knew that I made mistakes and backslid and all that, but I still had my limits. There are still things you know you can't do. It's not that you now want to belong and you're not going to join a cultist gang or something. I never smoked and all that. There are things you know that you dare not try. You understand? And I think when you get yourself at a early stage, it helps you a lot in life. Now, things, when I was growing up, you could say when you're 30, 40, you get it. People are getting themselves at 15 now. And you could see millionaires at 20, 20 something. So what is to say you should be making mistakes and be wasting away your life when you could have charted the course for yourself at 20 something? Don't waste your time, don't waste your life. The first thing, I always say that there are three things a man should do in life to succeed. The first thing, you ask yourself this question: who am I? Understanding who you are helps you to chart a course for yourself. Now, second question, why am I here? It's a question of purpose. Now, the third question is rhetorical. How long do I have? And when you understand that you don't have time, it helps you to say, I can't sleep on it. When you ask yourself that question, who am I? And then the next question, why am I here? The third question will make you know that you don't have time. Things happen. People die. You understand what I'm saying? All right. Now, Jesus, the disciples of John, they came to him and said, are you the Messiah you were expecting, or should we keep looking for someone else? And Jesus, how did he answer them? He answered them by action. So when people ask you, who are you? It's not enough for you to say, this is who I am. It's not enough to define yourself by word of mouth. You define yourself by actions, the things you do. People now say, people can now talk about you and say, do you know this person? I know he does this, he does that, he does this, he does that. And Jesus said, you see the lame walk, you see the blind see, that is who I am. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. You show who you are, you define yourself through actions, not by words of mouth alone.
Talking about defining yourself through actions, it would mean that at some point you would have to stand out. It would mean that at some point you would have to deviate from the norm. But as you said, we cannot really distinct ourselves from being influenced by the environment. So the big question is this, because there's a dilemma here. You want to stand out, and at the same time, you want to blend in. That's the problem that young people usually face. So how do you tackle that dilemma? Because this dilemma will always plague us for a long time. In fact, I think till we die, because we're social beings and we cannot but be influenced by the environment. A part of me wants to blend in, but I also want to stand out. Who am I? I want myself to be distinct. I want myself to be different. I want myself to be unique.
but at the same time, I still want to blend in. So I want to eat my cake, and I also want to have it. So how do I sort out this dilemma as a person in defining myself?
Thank you very much, Jibola, for that fantastic question. You see, what the world does not understand, the world criticizes. And so, yes, you are standing out. They don't know about it. But instead of them to say, we don't know what this guy is trying to do. Can you just bring us in? Can you just explain to us? Instead they say, it's crazy. It's weird. It's not
weird.
But you see, what you have to do is take a lot of time to know who you are. Take a lot of time to define your identity. But the moment you are able to cross that bridge, you must know that for a while you will lose some friends. People will say you're crazy. I never gave Portable any chance. I thought this Portable guy will fizzle out. The guy is weird, the guy is crazy.
Yeah, he is.
But it's catching. This Ashake guy, I said this guy will not last 2 months. Doesn't even look good. And then they'll go and make those teeth and then they'll be grainy and you'll be like, this is ugly. But the guy is catching out. I realized that sometimes what we call weird, what we call crazy is unique and we don't understand it. So when you know who you are, you got to be crazy yourself. Because when Microsoft was being developed in the garage, don't you think people abused me? Yeah, you guys are crazy. 3 people come together, they left school, they drop out of school, and they're working on computer, working on something in their garage. Nerds are crazy, you know. This guy is antisocial, he does not. But when he creates something, you should understand how crazy. What's the name of this guy that did the light bulb? He must realize how crazy he is. Inventors are crazy people. They are weird people. But when they bring out what the world needs, the world applauds them.
Sure.
So when you understand who you are, take time to understand who you are. Lock yourself up. Be ready to have enemies or people who will not understand you, don't like you. Give them an excuse and say the reason they are criticizing is because they don't understand what I'm doing. But that should be the fuel that will make you decide to make a success out of what you're doing. Because when you eventually do that, the world will applaud you.
Yeah. Okay, sir. You said that weird. Some people might call you weird. Some people might call you crazy. Right now, I'm sure a lot of teenagers have the issue of, okay, I have this idea. This idea is brilliant. Or some might not even know that it's brilliant. They just know that it's an idea. How can they make a wonderful idea come out to light? How can they build their confidence enough to say, okay, I want to pursue this weird, in quotes, what people call weird. How do I pursue it?
If it's possible, they should pray. They should pray to God for 2 major things. For boldness, the boldness to come out and do it. They should also pray for creative grace, to be able to see that vision come alive. Sometimes they have an idea, and then the difference between an idea and an invention is the work you put in between. But if you're able to do that, the world will celebrate you, like I said. So if it's possible, you see, God is not the wicked God that we've been meant to believe. So you could just talk in a simple term, God, I have this idea. It's not popular, it's not common, and then people are saying I'm weird. But I know that it was you that dropped this idea inside me. But I need boldness to be able to make this happen. And I need you to connect me with the right people that will help bring out this idea. Because sometimes that may be all you need. The right connections that will now help you to bring out whatever great idea that you have. Ideas are great, but if you can't bat them, then they die. And then when they say, hey, we said you're stupid. But when God gives you boldness and gives you that creative grace and connects with the right people, it's going to be great from here on.
I like this conversation. Do you want to say something to her?
Yeah.
Okay.
One more question for you, sir. You talked about how, as regards to your ideas and your innovation, transiting from having an idea to bringing out an innovation, you have to put in a lot of work. But at some point, you are being labeled as weird, you're entering a new space, you are doing something novel, and you're putting in a lot of work. It doesn't follow that upward learning curve. At some point, it's going to you going up and you bumping down, you going up and you bumping down. And whenever you find yourself on that particular valley or on that particular plateau, due to the fact that there's already a lot of pressure to, prove people wrong as regards to this idea that I have to change the world, what is your advice to people when they're putting in the work and at some point in time it just doesn't seem to be working?
You do an appraisal. Do an appraisal of where you're coming from. Is this making sense or not? If you need to cry, you cry. you let out your emotions. You vent. Otherwise, you go mad, you go crazy. So if you need to cry, you cry. If you need to vent, you vent. But you do an appraisal of where you started from and where you are going to. And when you realize that you are making progress, then you continue. The progress you've made propels you forward, and then it cannot be deaf to whatever people are saying, and then cannot help you to move forward.
So thank you for this amazing session. I still really find it really nice because you said something that even if it's not really going where you want you to go, you can cry, then pick yourself up again, and then move just directly towards that thing you want to do. And I like the Asake story. I actually really feel portable. It's not so fine, but then irrespective is cashing out. The world loves him. So it's just an example that even if at this point you want to live away from your past or live away from that person or what you're even doing presently, we don't have to love you for it. You might think you are weird. Like, I used to be very loud and then we know you're very lousy. And now you're very calm. It's weird to us fellow lousy people. Sincerely, it's going to be very weird. But in the end, we're just really going to accept and love you. Probably even want to be like and ask you questions. You now become like our major consultants. Like, Uncle, how did you, go through this? I also want to be like you.
So let me chip in. Sorry. Do you think Jesus was not weird? Wasn't to be labeled as weird?
He was not the regular kind of man.
Well, he couldn't have been. Yeah. And this is the guy that would just say, at age 12 was already teaching at the synagogue. And you're like, those are the times that people live to 400, 500 though. And at the 12, the guy is preaching to people that are his grandfathers. When he was supposed to get married, he didn't get married. He was a good bachelor. And was just gathering people and say, I'm the this, I'm that, and the preaching. Jesus was weird, but it's great. So weird can become great.
Great. So thank you. On that note, we'll end this session. Thank you so much. We hope we'll have further engagements with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so it's an amazing episode and I'm really elated at all we have said, and I've really gleaned a lot of things for my life, from where I am presently and where I want to be. And I can really be so sure that a lot of people at home, a lot of teenagers have also picked one or two things. So you can also join us next time as we'll be having more interesting episodes on this. Thank you.
This is Staying Updated on Bigsister Show. On this segment, I'm going to be talking about why is Eiffel Tower so special. I'm sure a lot of people have been posting so many pictures about Eiffel Tower in Paris, and you wondered, what makes this thing so special? Well, let me tell you a bit about it. It was designed by Alexander D. Eiffel, meaning that it was named after him. He's also the one that engineered the New York Statue of Liberty. So what makes it really special that a lot of people go there? It has 3 levels of restaurants. There are at least nothing less than 300 staircases, meaning that when we had everything in total, that makes it 900 staircases. That is more than the Idonre Hill staircase that we have here in Nigeria. That will be all for now. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye for now.